Time now for a little off the mic with Mike and Gasia. Just a couple people navigating the world of broadcast news in the San Francisco Bay Area. Gasia Mikaelian anchoring the mornings, Mike Meback anchoring the nights. Raising a couple families in the Bay Area we are. And Gasia, a big good morning to you. A quick programming note for this particular episode. We will have a very special guest here chiming in just about 4 minutes if he's on time. And knowing him, he is on time. So our newly minted Chief Meteorologist, Mark Tamayo, will be chiming in to talk weather, all things, and of course, his new position as the head of the weather department at KTVU. How's your morning, Gasia?
It's really good. I think I see Mark in the box there. Are you there, Sunshine? I see you, Mark Tamayo. I think you might be muted. 5 years in, we still haven't figured it out. Are you? Oh, there you are.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, here you are. You got me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you. Can I just pop in? First of all, I'm so glad that you're here. We're going to get into like your path to KTVU and all that good stuff. But I was just telling Mike, we had some pretty big breaking news unfold just now on the 9, and I wanted to share a little bit about how it happened. So
what do you got?
I know you guys were watching, and what you saw on the air was just sort of a relatively short story that the San Francisco police chief, Bill Scott, who's been in that post for about 8 years, one of the city's longest serving police chiefs, is stepping down. A lot of people were wondering what SFPD might look like because Mayor Daniel Lurie was newly elected. Of course, Chief Scott was there appointed by Mayor Ed Lee. He was there for all of former Mayor London Breed's time. So now with the new mayor, it looks like we will be getting a new police chief. I want to share with you guys, this all happened. The city had a news conference, and you know how like organizations and cities let us know, oh, like we have an event to promote XYZ. It's at 10:30, and they give us all these details. The way the city let us know that the mayor was going to speak was at 9:15 this morning. They said Mayor Daniel Lurie will hold a news conference about public safety in San Francisco with the chief, Bill Scott. And it was in that news conference that it was announced that Chief Scott was stepping down. So talk about like not tipping your hand at all. It kind of, I mean, it did catch a lot of us by surprise because we expect like, oh, burglaries down, robberies down, blah, blah, blah. But it turned out to be this, major nugget of news.
Sounds like the city kind of snuck it in, Sounds like when Mayor Lurie got elected, he had an agenda and a plan, and maybe he told the chief, hey, I'll give you a few months.
Yeah.
And then we may have to part ways. I don't know how it all went down. We'll have to do a little bit more digging on that. But yeah, police chief, how many years has he been with SF in that role?
8 years.
8 years, yeah.
More than that, he has, I think, I want to say 27 or maybe 30, can't be 37. He has decades of law enforcement experience. The chief did say that he was looking to take on a similar role in another department. So I don't think his work in law enforcement is done, but his time as the head of SFPD is coming to an end. I think the transition period, the two outlined, was maybe around 6 weeks or so. So we'll see who's next. There's going to be, I think, an assistant chief stepping into that role for now, but that assistant chief has said that he's not going to go for the full chief role. So really, it's kind of open to anybody.
One quick little nugget, just hearing that Steph Curry is out for game 2 against the T-Wolves, but what a win that was. Mark Tamayo, thank you for joining us, man. I didn't mean to cut you off. You're going to chime in on either Chief Scott or the Warriors. Which one?
Oh, both of them really quick. My viewer standpoint, I guess. So Steph Curry, I heard that I think it was Shaq after the game on Tuesday night was saying he's going to be out for game 2, just because you got to let it rest and you got to let those days sort of build up of rest. So I guess that shouldn't be a surprise to people. Mm-hmm. And Mike, I think, didn't you have a roundtable with all the chiefs a few years ago, and there was a kind of word or rumor that Chief Scott might be leaving, and you asked him, right? Wasn't that at some point?
Yeah, Mark, you're dialed in on that. We did a roundtable discussion with multiple police chiefs around the Bay Area. I think that lasted for maybe a couple years. We'd do like one every 3 or 4 months, and Chief Scott would often be a guest on that program. I'd have to re-rack that show and cue up the exact moment when I asked him that question. I remember asking, I'm not sure what he said. I think he said he's all in with San Francisco. I love the job. I think a lot of chiefs do that, and I don't think a chief's going to come out and say, yeah, I'm leaving, Mike. But that's got to be one of the hardest jobs, no matter where you live, no matter what department you run, is the head of a police department, especially over the last 5 or 10 years. I feel like we've had a lot of police chiefs come and go here in the Bay Area. But, I've never had a problem. He's always been, media-wise, in this business, he's always been very kind to me. Gasia, I don't know about you, but in your interactions with the police department. But I wish him the best. And, as someone who loves the city of San Francisco,
Yeah.
I thank him for, his years in that position and leading the department. It is a tough gig.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely. I mean, and so the outgoing chief said that he's leaving San Francisco on a high note, and he wants the momentum to continue. Just to share kind of some of his highlights that they're sharing with the newsroom. Last year, the city saw the lowest homicide rate in 60 years. Gun violence down by 50% in southeast parts of the city. Property crime in San Francisco was at a 20-year low. Auto burglaries down from 31,000 to fewer than 10,000. So, the chief had a lot of successes here, and I'm wondering where he's going to take all that. But look, we could talk like police chiefs and politics all day long, but we need to talk about weather and how Mark Tamayo is going to be taking on. It's not really a new role; it's an enhanced role. Would you say that's true?
Chief Mark Tamayo, Chief.
There you go, Chief.
There you go.
Yeah,
Chief Meteorologist.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. That title does kind of make you step back and go, wow. And yeah, I've been up to 16 years and do a lot of things, and watching Chief Meteorologist Bill Martin kind of do his thing for so many years and learning a lot. So Bill has been great. He's been a huge supporter over all these years, and now the opportunity's here, and I'm like, wow, that word, I can't let it get in my mind too much, because chief meteorologist, whatever that is. But yeah, definitely it makes you step back and think about things and what you've accomplished and where you are right now.
Where did you fall in love with weather? It's not a lot of people say, I love the weather, not just, observing it, delivering
Yeah.
it, studying it. Was that like a grade school thing? Was it like your college
Yeah.
years? How did that pop into your radar?
It's both. In fact, since the announcement of the promotion, I guess you could say, I've had friends from high school saying, "Hey, you always said you wanted to be a TV weathercaster, and you actually did it." And so yeah, it all started probably when I was sixth, seventh, eighth grade, and I just thought it was interesting and fun, and I was riding my mountain bike a lot. No, Gasia, your kids are into mountain biking, and I'm starting to surf and going to Tahoe to snowboard and ski, and it just seemed like a natural fit. I had all these questions about the weather, and so I just my mom, I remember she signed me up for a tour at a couple stations. First one was KGO in the city. I think I was in eighth grade. Took the ferry in, and I met with Pete Giddings and Joel Bartlett, and they showed me around the studio. And then again with Channel 5 a few years later with KPIX. And it was Brian Sussman. So I just thought, you walk, especially when you're a kid and you walk into a TV station, it's just like, oh my gosh. So it all started then, and I've been, mom always supported me and could help me, always motivated me and kind of helped me kind of on my journey, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Can you tell? So like the three of us now, we grew up here in the Bay Area. We went elsewhere to like really kind of figure out what we were doing as far as college and work, but then we were able to come back to KTVU. Kind of take us through, for those who don't know, your path, from Bay Area kid to chief meteorologist at KTVU.
Sorry, I guess my signal went away.
Oh, okay, that's okay. I'll say it again, but quickly.
Yeah.
Take us for your path from like growing up in the Bay Area and all the, you went to school, you worked elsewhere, and now you're a chief meteorologist at KTVU. Tell me about that journey.
Yeah, well, college was in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly for journalism, and then I kind of had all this weird interest in weather. Still, I thought it was like a bug I'd get rid of, and then SF State. I'm like, when I graduated Cal Poly, I'm like, what do I do now? So I decided to study meteorology at the time, and the hard part about meteorology is it's so much math, and I could not stand math at all, and that was my biggest part. My claim to fame is I took calculus 3 times and I failed it, and so then I eventually passed, and so I did when I finished meteorology school, I decided to go to Eureka and then Salinas, and then Bay Area's home, so I always wanted to come back here, and here I am.
It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail in
Yeah.
school. I've had plenty of F's growing up through my life, but now as a father, I don't tell my children that, but I say, it's okay.
Yeah.
You learn from those moments in life, dude. What about meteorologists as a crew? I mean, I feel like you guys are a tight-knit group. You just named some legends for us growing up in the Bay Area. Do you guys have like a get-togethers or special bond? It takes a unique personality, I feel like, not to do the mass side, but to also tell the story of the weather here in this great place we live.
Yeah, it's definitely a small group of us for sure. And when you get together, it's rare, but you tend to confide a lot in each other and share a lot of what the experience is like. And in fact, it was neat. Bill Martin used to host a thing with weather people at the ballpark every summer, and that's when you'd see the weather service people and local meteorologists. So it was just fun to sort of catch up.
I also wanted to ask, it's interesting. I see you out of the studio, out reporting almost as much as I see you in the studio. I know you've reported on like avalanche prevention, you've been on boats out on the bay. Tell me about how being out, in the field where weather is happening, how does that kind of wrap into this whole goal of really informing viewers about where we live?
Yeah, as I move outdoors in my backyard, right?
Yeah.
uh,
Wow, look at
um,
that.
yeah. Well, do you remember this? This was like the COVID live shot when
That
I
was your
worked from
pandemic
home.
studio.
And yeah, and we did some reconfiguration with our Wi-Fi, so it's not as great as it used to be. I'm finding it out,
Yeah.
but yeah, working out. For me, the reporters that go out every day and do a story, God bless them, because it's the hardest job in the world. It seems like to go out and find people and to write all that stuff. And for me, it's sort of a challenge to myself because I went to school initially for journalism, and I know it's an art and a craft, and it takes a lot of skill to do all that stuff. Um, and so for me, it's a personal challenge to go out and cover these stories that should be covered, and it's always the number one challenge is trying to explain a complex thing in a simple way. And so that's why I like to go out and do that. And what's really cool is there's a lot of fascinating people here in the Bay Area, and it's really nice to meet all of them and learn from them. And that's the key takeaway is I've met some wonderful researchers that do some great work that really don't care about being have a spotlight on them. They just want to do good things. And it's been great to sort of see what they do and meet them and learn about their great work. And in turn, in some ways, it kind of like makes me look like a genius on the newscast because I'm like, oh yeah, I knew this one fact, blah blah blah, and I could pull something out instantly. So for me, that's if we get the time to do it, it's always a great experience.
And you know what? I've known you for nearly 20 years. Not only a coworker, but a great friend, first and foremost, Mark. And one of the best moments in studio that I've had with you was that Napa earthquake. And we were on air together for 8 straight hours, no commercials, with Claudine Wong, right in between us. And during that moment, I realized, look, man, this guy doesn't just know weather, man. He knows like faults and plates and like stuff under the ground. I mean, what you brought to the table that day was phenomenal. You take a lot of pride in knowing, especially here in the Bay Area, earthquake country. You take a lot of pride in knowing about where we live when it comes to earthquakes too, not just weather.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, thank you, Mike. That's really nice of you to say that. I think for me, there's always something to learn. I remember when I graduated from school, I was like, okay, I know everything about weather. It's like, no, you don't know a thing. And anybody who says they know everything about the forecast for the next 10 days, it's a joke, right? We're always trying to figure stuff out. And then for me, I always tell people I never took a class in geology. I'm not an earthquake expert. But when I was at another station in the Bay Area, there was a very very skilled journalist who was really into all science, and he did a documentary on earthquakes. And he said, Mark, I want you to trace all the faults in California and in the Bay Area on because the graphics, that was my thing back then. And I want you to make maps of all the earthquake faults, interactive, flying around, and all that stuff. And before that, I didn't know much about earthquake faults at all, and in Bay Area seismic activity. But I think that sort of planted a seed for me to build off of. And I'm still not an earthquake expert. Like you just know what you know, and that's the key. And then have it stop. I remember. I don't want to talk about too many people from the past, but we had a news director at Channel 2 that would just freak out every time there was like a 3.2 earthquake and go running around the newsroom. And this news director would say, what's the fault? What's the earthquake fault? I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly what the earthquake fault is. And by the way, who cares?
Yeah.
The fact is that there's a 3.2 in the East Bay at 10:25, no damage. That's it, right? And I'll wait for the experts to let us know what earthquake fault it is. So I think that's kind of the skill, is knowing what you know, and then having a sharp demarcation line of like.
Who was the news director? Are you going to drop the name?
No, I'll just yeah.
I can guess. We can play the guessing game.
Who you're talking about? That person
Yeah.
is no longer the news director. We should make that clear. He's gone.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
This was several news directors ago, I guess you can say.
Can I ask
it's
really
just
quick?
about.
Like, you've been forecasting weather for so long. You were doing it before these were around, right? And so I think once iPhones became ubiquitous and people were like, oh, I'll just go on the phone to check the weather. How have you had to change what you do? Because I can just look it up and be like, oh, like Oakland, 76 degrees. That tells me nothing, right? So, are the prevalence of phones, is it helping you? Is it hurting you? How do you manage this?
It's definitely making it challenging, I think, right? I mean, when I started doing weather, there was a big, I don't know, 2-foot printer making loud noises, printing out maps, and you'd post them, and that was basically the only way to look at the information. And now people have access to maps if they just want to start looking at stuff online, and also, yeah, you can go in your iPhone and get all that information pretty easily. But I think the challenge is still, and Bill Martin is really good at this, and I'm still trying to figure out myself, like he just making it relatable and explaining things, and how it resonates with people's neighborhood, their day, their vacation, the history of a certain spot. I think that's the challenge, and it's going to continue to be the challenge. So I mean, I think we're on a podcast right now. We're all trying to find ways to still stay I don't know the word relevant, but also just adapting to the changing climate, I guess you could say, with media. And I think it's possible. It's just, you just can't do the same old, here's the barometric pressure, here's the current temperature, here's the satellite, and here's your 5-day. You've got to make it way more dynamic, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like we use you guys a lot more too during wildfires.
Yeah.
Right? Like you got not just weather and earthquakes. I mean, I should say wildfires. I mean, how many times have I gone, all right, let's bring in our meteorologist, Mark Tamayo, to talk about wind direction, where exactly it is, the fuels, the time of year. Do you feel like that's been a thing over the last 10 years, more so than 20, 30 years ago when we got into the business?
Yeah, I think for sure. There's like a term called the station scientist in the meteorology community. Like, okay, you're the scientist for all things, whether it's a tsunami, fire, something like that. And the challenge, once again, is like, I can talk about the weather patterns around a fire, but I'm not there. So I'm always looking to hear what the reporters have to say, or the fire crews have to say about the weather conditions. So we kind of have to take a step back and give like the general pattern, and then as you get more information, you can kind of drill into more of the specifics. But when a fire starts, there's a typical hot spots where fires start. We kind of know the areas really well. But then it's the ones that you're just like, wow. Like for instance, the Los Angeles fires earlier in the year. I mean, I'm not used to reporting disastrous fires like that. The conditions in that area, and so it's always a matter of like, okay, the routine spots, and then now more days, unfortunately, there are the spots that are not routine that you're trying to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you take us through a little bit how far out you can forecast weather, and like the question is accuracy, right? And I remember like a long time ago, Bill Martin, I think we had in one of his promos, when he was leaving, he was like, this woman called, she was having a wedding in like 4 months, and she wanted to know if she had to rent a tent or not, because it was going to be outside. He's like, she called me every day for 4 months, and in the end, it wasn't raining on her wedding day. I'm sure people call you and be like, my nephew's turning 2 next month. Is it going to be sunny? How far out can you look out with some degree of accuracy, and at what point do you really have to say, you know what, I don't know yet?
Yeah, I think like 7 days you can kind of give like a general outlook, but you're still not sure. You're like, stay tuned, and then come 5 days, you pretty much start locking it in for sure.
Okay, that's the 5-day forecast.
But you can't do 4th of July fog, right? Yeah, you can't forecast fog.
I know. I remember that, you know what, the fog is the trickiest thing to forecast around here, because I think because it's such a small feature, like it's not like this global motion that the models can detect. It's just a small sliver sometimes that the models have a hard time capturing. So it's more of an art, and it's kind of still somewhat of a guess with the 4th of July fireworks. I remember one time when I was at another station in the Bay Area, the chief meteorologist said, I guarantee clear conditions for the fireworks,
Guaranteed.
and
Remember?
guaranteed. And guess what? Decided to come back in is the fog.
Who,
So
Bill Martin
I
said
have
that?
no problem.
Was
No,
it Bill?
no, another TV station. I know this is about the show about talking about old people that no, it was I was at Channel 4 and made that prediction, and it's dangerous, right? I have no problem saying the word chance of rain or something like that, because we don't know everything. You kind of have to know what you don't know, and then as time goes on, sort of add some more detail and some more confidence.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know you got to run off and do the noon newscast, so we'll let you do that. But I just wanted to say congratulations. And also, you're a family man. So a lot of people don't see that side of us, and everything good with the transition, since you got the new gig and at home.
Yeah, at home, my wife's taking care of a lot of stuff. She's like she definitely makes it all possible for us. So yeah, it's definitely she's a teacher, and then once summer break happens, it'll be a great time during the summertime.
Yeah, they all do. The moms are great, and it's an early Mother's Day gift. So we wish her a happy Mother's Day from me.
And to you, Gasia, as well.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. Hey, quick 5-day. Give us a quick little forecast before you say goodbye here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is my Monday, so I'm still sort of I stepped away from the weather maps over the weekend, but I did look enough to definitely it cooled off for today, Wednesday, and then it begins to warm up a bit. In fact, it gets hot on Friday. So remember on Monday it was baking around here, and Friday could be another hot day with some spots approaching the hot spots in the lower 90s. So yeah, it gets hot, and then it into the weekend. Saturday's still warm, then it eventually cools off again. So literally, it is a temperature roller coaster here in the Bay Area, for sure.
Awesome.
But thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on. Sorry,
course.
my apologies for the Wi-Fi. I guess that room's not good anymore. But I guess the outside live shots always work for me during COVID, and
that's where you belong.
It's
outside.
working again.
I love it.
Yeah. So here I am. But thank you for having me on. I'm honored, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Cheers, Mark.
I'll see you at noon there in the studio. I have to run
Okay.
too. He and I get to do the noon, and I've got a meeting before that. So, Mark, I have to say congratulations. When the word came out, there was nothing but 100% support and enthusiasm. So it really, like, this entire newsroom, everybody here and well beyond is like, behind you and supporting you. So we're all so happy.
Oh, that feels wonderful, and I'm excited, and it's gonna be fun and exciting for sure.
Let's do it.
Hey, Mark.
Right,
thank
care.
you.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And you know what, Gasia? Like, the good thing about Mark, I meant to ask him this, but I feel like meteorologists, you have to surf, right?
Yes.
I feel like a lot of them surf.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that's a thing, or if that's like
Bill is probably surfing right now. But yeah,
Bill Martin. Oh,
and
yeah.
you know what? And I think maybe he told this when we were doing the big goodbye to our former chief meteorologist, Bill Martin. Mark, growing up here in the Bay, of course, knew Bill Martin. And then I think he actually paddled up to him on a wave and was like, "Hi, I'm a meteorologist at a small station outside of da-da-da." And so I think that's how those two actually met.
You're
And
right.
then Martin kind of took Mark under his wing and, brought him in here, and really like that partnership. You're just, like you and I know about this, right? When you get here, you're new. And so someone kind of helps you and holds the baton before you take it on yourself. And then when you're ready to pass the baton, you hold it out and someone holds, and you kind of run with it for a while, and then the next person. So for sure, it's been like that here.
He knew how to do it, get that foot in the door. And that's a prime example of like, hey, reaching out, even in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Saying, "Hey, man, hey, smart guy.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. We live in a microclimate area. It's a hard gig. I couldn't do it. And I love that he told that story. Look, man, I failed this class, but we all fail at something, and I think it's important to learn from your failure. And I said, teaching my kids that too, as they fail in this or that. Hey, it's a terrible feeling, but you use that energy and you get better, and it motivates you, right? We all need motivation.
Look, when you said that you had failed, do you mean actually like you have report cards with an F on them, like that kind of fail?
Yes, F, the letter grade,
Okay.
F.
What did your mother say to you?
Who said she knew?
Oh no. Okay.
This was
So,
college. This was college, right?
okay,
High school.
you
High,
flunked a class in college?
I did. I
What?
flunked.
Mom, this is wow. Okay, so the reason I ask is this. Back in the dark ages, when you and I were in like elementary and middle school, and even in high school, there was no like. I'm sure your kids have like go on the da app and see how young me back Junior is doing, and like so now we have. I can look at either of my sons' classwork,
I know.
tests, participate, and I'm like, look. My parents had no idea what I was doing in school. They were like, the standard for you is here. We have very high expectations. We expect you to achieve and meet them. And like, that was it. I brought home a C once on my report card. This is like in middle school. No, middle or high school. My parents treated that C like it was an F minus. And I tried to say, wait, C is average. And they're like, not in this house, it's not. So when you said that you brought home an F, I was like, my inside strength. So now fast forward, I won't say which son, but you can probably guess, has a C on a progress report. So it's not like a final report card, but it's a progress report. And I was like, see, like, you're a smart kid. What are you doing? And he's like, it'll come up. I'll turn in my assignments, whatever, treating it so blasé. And part of me is like, I want to read him the riot act, right? Because I'm like, my parents would kill me if they knew my son was getting a C. On the other hand, I'm like, you know what? Let him figure out what it feels like to get a C in a class. Like, because like we said, you have to feel that pain to know what it's like to know that you don't want to do it again. So I think your mom was right in not reacting, or maybe, not knowing / not reacting, because to this day you remember that F, and you probably like figured yourself out and did better because of it. So it's just like we're kind of going through that in my house right now, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill you if you get a C on her final report card. So that's where
Well,
we are.
what I told myself was maybe I should actually go to class. That would help.
Yes. And then you
And
brought it up.
you tell your son, Uncle Mike over here said C's get degrees.
No,
Okay? You just
look,
pass that little nugget along to him because it's okay, my friend. It's
you know,
okay.
I'm
And I'll
not
tell
even
you,
gonna. No, I'm not even gonna tell my parents you said that, because my
just tell
parents
them.
love you so much, Mike.
I
You have no
respect your
idea.
parents. You can tell
No,
them that too. That's who
no,
they are.
no. A C
Eh,
is like an F in the Mikaelian
C's
household.
get degrees. It's okay to fail. Don't worry about it. I will tell you this one quick story, and then we got to go. I know you have a meeting too.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
last exam in college was astronomy.
Okay.
Remember the blue book? You ever take a blue book
Yes.
test where you had to fill in the blue book, whatever? So I took this introductory astronomy class my last semester in college because I needed 12 units to get financial aid. So I didn't
Okay.
really need to take this class. I only needed like, so I took two other classes. One of the hardest classes I took, freshman astronomy. Long story short, the final exam in May, like 2 days before graduation, and I took this grade pass fail, this
Okay.
class. I thought it was gonna be like a Scantron test. It was blue book
Yeah.
essay about space, like everything you could imagine about space. And again, I did not take this class seriously.
So nervous for you right now.
I just looked around. I'm like, I don't know. So what I did was I wrote a story to the professor about how I'm a journalism major, broadcast news. This is why I took this class. This is my dream to do this job. I filled that blue book up front and back page the entire way, and he passed me. I got the grade and he passed. I mean, I should have failed the class, but he passed me. So that
Wow.
is taking failure and learning from it and boosting towards success right there. In
All right. I like that last story. I will not say the C's get degrees, but I love it.
All right.
I learned even more about you today, Mike. I
All
love
right,
it.
my friend. Hey, happy early Mother's Day to you.
Thank you. Maybe we'll talk moms on our next pod, right?
That sounds good. I like it. All right. As our good friend once sang, once in a while you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. We'll see you around.